What if I told you that two brothers born of the same mother, raised in the same tent, could become enemies, rivals, destined to shape the history of nations? What if I told you that one meal, a bowl of stew, could change the fate of the world? A vast desert, trembling in the heat of the sun. Two tents stand alone amid the wilderness. Shadows stretch long across the sands as the wind whispers of destinies yet unseen. Rebekah, wife of Isaac, walked the lonely path of motherhood with pain that tore her from within. For even before birth, her children warred in her womb. Day after day she felt their struggle, as if nations collided beneath her heart. In despair, she lifted her cry to the Lord. "Why is this happening to me?" And the Lord, in thunderous stillness, answered, "Two nations are in your womb. Two peoples shall be divided. One shall be stronger than the other. The older shall serve the younger. The older shall serve the younger." This word, this divine decree, was not merely a prophecy. It was a sentence, shaping their very existence. From the very beginning, their lives were set upon a collision course. No choice of man could escape the hand of God. Birth scene. Rebekah lies in travail. The cries of labor echo against the desert silence. Esau emerges first, red as blood, covered in hair, wild from the moment of his arrival. He is named Esau Rough, fierce, untamed. But Jacob follows close, his small hand clutching the heel of his brother, as though unwilling to yield, unwilling to let go. This grasp becomes his name, Jacob the heel gripper, the supplanter. Two brothers, two beginnings, two fates intertwined yet opposed. Esau grew as the wilderness itself, strong, restless, master of the hunt. His bow was swift, his arm unwearied, his life bound to the open fields where danger roamed. Isaac, the aging patriarch, looked upon him with pride, for Esau's strength promised security, his skill promised provision. Esau was his father's joy. Jacob, by contrast, dwelt in tents. His days were quiet, his hands busy with flocks, his mind steady and reflective. Where Esau ran, Jacob waited. Where Esau conquered, Jacob calculated. And Rebekah's heart belonged to Jacob, for in him she sensed the mystery of the promise, though it lay veiled in shadows. Two brothers, two destinies, one impossible challenge, to inherit the blessing of God's promise, the covenant of Abraham, the oath sealed in Isaac. But how could the weaker, the gentler, the overlooked son prevail? From the eye of man, it was hopeless. Esau had the birthright. Esau had the strength. Esau had the favor of his father. The world looked upon Jacob as lesser, unworthy, destined to stand always in the shadow of his older brother. Yet the whisper of God's promise lingered in Rebekah's memory. The older shall serve the younger. Sunset. Esau, bow in hand, triumphant from the hunt, dragging wild game through the dust. Jacob by the firelight, stirring a pot, eyes deep with thought. Their paths, already distinct, began to harden into destiny. The impossible challenge was set, not merely a struggle of flesh and blood, but of purpose and faith, of human strength against divine will. For how can the quiet son of tents overcome the favored hunter of the fields? How can the hand that grasps a heel rise above the arm that wields the bow? And yet, this is the pattern of heaven. God chooses the unexpected, the overlooked, the unlikely. The barren woman bears a son. The younger overtakes the elder. The weak confound the mighty. Esau marched into the fields, and Jacob watched. Esau hunted with power, and Jacob waited in silence. Esau lived by the sword, and Jacob dreamed of promises. The family table. Isaac laughs as Esau sets down roasted meat. Rebekah, silent, places her hand upon Jacob's shoulder, her gaze filled with unspoken certainty. The tent is heavy with tension, the love of a father weighed against the secret decree of heaven. This was the impossible challenge, to take hold of a covenant that by human order belonged to another, to cling to a promise that seemed beyond reach, to believe that the God who speaks does not lie, though every circumstance denies his word. And so the stage was set. Brothers bound by blood, divided by destiny, love fractured, favor divided. Promise concealed in mystery, fade to darkness. A solitary lamp flickers in Jacob's tent. The boy sits alone, staring into the night, the words of prophecy echoing in his mind. The older shall serve the younger. But how? How could it be? Esau had the birthright. Esau had the strength. Esau had the father's blessing in waiting. And Jacob had only a promise. Thus began the story of struggle. Thus began the story of faith. Thus began the story of Jacob and Esau. And yet, God's ways are not our ways. His wisdom defies the wisdom of men. What man calls foolishness, God calls the seed of destiny. What man despises, heaven exalts. Firelight trembles within the tent. Shadows dance upon the fabric walls. Jacob bends over a pot, steam rising, the aroma thick with lentils. Outside, footsteps crash, branches break, and suddenly Esau bursts in, sweat-soaked, face crimson, breath ragged from the hunt. Esau collapses near the fire, voice hoarse with desperation. "Let me eat some of that red stew, for I am exhausted." Jacob lifts his gaze, his eyes, calm yet piercing, measure his brother's hunger, his rashness, his weakness. Slowly, with a voice firm as stone, he answers, "Sell me your birthright today." Esau laughs, but it is hollow, a bark of scorn mixed with urgency. "I'm about to die. Of what use is a birthright to me?" Thus it happened. The strong despised the eternal, and the quiet seized the unseen. Esau swore an oath. For bread and stew, he surrendered his inheritance. He ate, he drank, he rose. He despised his birthright. The bowl lies abandoned in the dust. Esau walks into the darkness, careless, unaware. Jacob sits by the fire, staring into the flames, his hands trembling, astonishment and dread mingling in his chest. But the struggle was not over, for the covenant was not secured by stew. The true seal lay in the blessing, the final word of Isaac, patriarch and heir of Abraham. Without that blessing, the promise hung in uncertainty. Years rolled by. Isaac aged, his eyes grew dim, his steps feeble, his voice softened by the weight of years. And when the shadows of death lengthened, he called for Esau. "Go, take your bow, hunt game for me, prepare a savory meal, that I may bless you before I die." Esau sharpens his arrows, bow in hand, determination upon his face. The camp stirs with expectation. But Rebekah heard. She trembled. Within her heart the prophecy burned. The older shall serve the younger. She remembered the violent struggle within her womb, the divine decree spoken years before. And fear seized her, fear that the promise would slip away if left to Isaac's failing judgment. She turned swiftly to Jacob. Urgency sharpened her whisper. "Go quickly, bring me 2 young goats. I will prepare them as your father loves. You shall take the blessing in Esau's place." Ah, the storm within Jacob's heart. He trembled between obedience to his mother and dread of his father's wrath. "What if my father feels me?" he cried. "I will seem to him a deceiver and bring a curse upon myself, not a blessing." But Rebekah, unwavering, pressed on. "Let your curse be on me, my son. Only obey my voice. Go, bring them to me." Jacob obeyed. Goats prepared, garments of Esau laid across Jacob's shoulders. Rough skins bound to his hands and neck. The smell of the fields clings to him. Yet beneath the disguise, his heart beats wild, each step heavier than the last. He enters Isaac's tent. The air is thick, heavy with age, with nearing death. Isaac's blind eyes search the darkness. "Who are you, my son?" the old man asks. Jacob's voice quivers, yet he speaks. "I am Esau." The words hung in the air, fragile, dangerous, like a blade unsheathed. Isaac stretched forth trembling hands. He touched the skins upon Jacob's arms, how rough, coarse, like Esau's flesh. He leaned close, breathing in the garments that bore the scent of the fields, yet his ears caught the voice, hesitant, soft, not like Esau. Suspicion warred with frailty. Doubt wrestled with fading strength. Again he asked, "Are you really my son Esau?" And Jacob answered, "I am." At last, Isaac yielded. He ate of the meal, he drank the wine, and then he stretched his hands in blessing. The dew of heaven, the fatness of earth, abundance of grain and wine. Nations shall serve you. Peoples shall bow before you. Cursed be those who curse you. Blessed be those who bless you. It was done. Jacob departs, garments heavy upon him, heart pounding with triumph and dread. Behind him the tent falls silent, the blessing sealed. But even as the flap closes, Esau returns. Game in hand, meal prepared, his voice strong, eager. "Let my father arise and eat of his son's game, that you may bless me." And the fragile world shatters. Isaac trembles violently. His cry shakes the tent. Who was it then that brought me food, and I blessed him? Yes, and he shall be blessed. Esau cried with a great and bitter cry, "Bless me, even me also, O my father." But there was no undoing. There was no reversal. The blessing had been given. Esau weeps, face to the ground, fists in the dust. Isaac, trembling, speaks only fragments, shadows of a blessing. Jacob, hidden, listens, every word carving guilt and fear deeper into his soul. And Esau hated his brother. Hatred burned hotter than the desert sun. He swore in his heart, "When my father dies, I will kill Jacob." Darkness falls. Jacob alone gathers his cloak, trembling, fleeing into the night. His steps quicken. Each shadow feels like pursuit. Each gust of wind like his brother's breath upon his neck. Jacob fled. Alone. Afraid. A fugitive from his own blood. A bearer of blessing, yet bound by guilt. A chosen vessel, yet broken by fear. And yet, though Jacob ran from Esau, he could not outrun God. Night spreads across a desolate road. Cold silence reigns. Jacob lies with only a stone for a pillow. Stars burn above him, ancient witnesses of covenant. And then, God appeared. Jacob dreamed, and behold, a ladder set upon the earth, its top reaching into the very heavens. Angels of God ascended and descended, messengers of eternity moving between realms. And above the ladder, the Lord himself stood, his voice like thunder woven with tenderness. "I am the Lord, the God of Abraham your father, and the God of Isaac. I am with you. I will keep you wherever you go. I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have spoken." In the night of fear, Jacob received the dawn of promise. In the valley of flight, he received the vision of heaven. In exile's loneliness, he found himself not abandoned, but chosen. Jacob awoke trembling, the dust of the earth clinging to his garments, his soul burning with awe. Surely the Lord is in this place. How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. He lifts the stone, sets it upright, pours oil upon it. A covenant renewed, a memory sealed. The fugitive becomes a pilgrim. The deceiver becomes a vessel of destiny. Years turned like desert winds. Jacob endured exile, labored under hardship, wrestled through nights of fear and mornings of hope. He was shaped, broken, renamed. And at last, the moment none believed possible arrived. The return, the meeting, the test of reconciliation. Two camps approach across the wilderness. Esau with his men, fierce and strong. Jacob with his household, trembling yet determined. Dust rises, silence thickens. Jacob bows once, twice, 7 times, laying his pride in the dust before his brother. And then the unthinkable. Esau, red and wild, runs to him, not with a sword, but with tears. He embraces Jacob, falls upon his neck, and both weep. Enemies became brothers again. Hatred gave way to peace. For God was writing a story larger than their rivalry, greater than their fears. Jacob, the deceiver, became Israel, the father of a nation. Esau, the hunter, became the father of Edom. 2 brothers, 2 nations, 2 destinies, one God who rules them all. What then shall we learn from Jacob and Esau? That the purposes of God cannot be undone by human schemes or by human failures. What seems impossible by human strength is made certain by divine promise. Esau sold his birthright for a single meal. How often do we, too, trade the eternal for the immediate, the lasting for the fleeting? Jacob deceived to grasp what God had already promised. How often do we, too, strive in fear for what grace has already secured? Faith waits. Faith trusts. Faith receives. Modern city streets, crowds rushing, screens glowing, faces weary. And yet, amid the noise, a single figure pauses, bows their head in prayer, finding the eternal in the midst of the fleeting. So, my friend, hold fast to what is eternal. Do not despise your birthright. Do not surrender your blessing for a fleeting desire. For the God of Jacob is still the God who transforms. The God of Jacob is still the God who redeems. And the God of Jacob is the God of you. Remember, the older shall serve the younger, and the promise of God shall never fail.